Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Friday. We've made it to the end of the week. Your reward, 3 hours of sports talk coming your way this afternoon on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our streaming video channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. However, wherever, whenever you are tuning in to the program today, thank you so much for being a part of our audience here on 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuy will be along in the 4 o'clock hour. Brendan Dworzinski attending to a sick child. He is out today. Thanks for being with us. Sorry we missed you yesterday. We had planned to come on the air after Royals baseball. Then Royals baseball sat through about a 2.5-hour sun delay. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know what you call it, a rain delay if it never rains. I don't know quite how to explain such a thing. That's one of those things that happens in sports where, like, unless you really have like the rule book in front of you, that's one you have a hard time explaining. Like, I was telling my wife, and it was great to have an extra day yesterday to get off early from work. I surprised my son at daycare pickup. Went with my wife, pick him up from daycare, which I never get to do. So it wasn't all bad from my perspective, certainly. But I was telling my wife that, hey, looks like we may end up not having a radio show today because the game is rain delayed, even though it isn't raining. And my wife naturally wanted to know, well, why would they do that? And I explained to her, and maybe you're hearing this explanation for the first time, is that if there is the threat of rain, or there's enough evidence that there is a lingering threat of rain that is enough of a concern, that you can delay the start of the game. And the Royals were incentivized to do so yesterday because they were short on pitchers. They had to go deep into their bullpen the night before and use their long reliever, Mason Black, for extended work, because Seth Lugo took a line drive off the forehead on Wednesday night. And so they were already short in the arms department. And if they had started the game and then rain had come to a point where they would have had to pull starter Michael Wacha out of the game, didn't want to risk injury by having him sit for too long and then reheat him and put him back in, then the Royals would have really been in a pinch pitching-wise. And so it's a little bit of gamesmanship on the Royals' part. Not that it worked. The Royals lost 4-2 yesterday, in case you missed it, and more about that here in just a little bit. But that was the explanation, right? It was the best possible explanation for why are the Royals delaying a game even though it's not raining. And it seemed to rain a little bit in the area, but didn't do a whole lot of raining at the K. And so my wife's question back to me, a very logical one, is, well, are they allowed to do that? And like the answer is yes, they are, but the why of it, I can't really say. I hate when I can't give a better answer than because. And that was really about the best answer I would have had. I'm sure, like, in the Major League Baseball rule book, which, contrary to appearances, I don't know that chapter and verse. Like, I'm sure there is like something built in for, like, basically what I just explained. Like, if they feel there is a threat of rain, then the teams can wait on starting the game. They can delay the start of the game. But I didn't have that verbiage. And all I had for my wife was, why? Because. And you understood, certainly, if you were in the Royals' shoes, why you would have wanted to delay that game. What is less understandable is why the Royals played the ensuing 9 innings following the 2-hour and 20-minute weather delay, why they played those 9 innings as though they had taken a 2-hour and 20-minute nap and were collectively just woken up 5 minutes before first pitch. Because that was the energy in yesterday's 4-2 Royals loss. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. Also look at some interesting reporting from the Athletics' Ken Rosenthal about the Royals trade deadline thinking, and a look ahead to the series that opens tonight against the Houston Astros, or what remains of what once was the Houston Astros. because these are not your older brothers, Houston Astros, anymore. They are Yordan Alvarez and like Spencer Arrighetti's really good, and that's about it. It ain't what it was down there in H-Town. And that's the team coming to town, the fourth place team in the AL West. Coming to town to play the fifth place team in the American League Central. Pre-game coverage at 6:30 tonight. So we'll have a little bit of 580 Sports Talk overtime ahead of tonight's Royals Baseball Network broadcast. A 7:10 first pitch, a fireworks Friday in the summer. That's why they push it back. 7:10 first pitch tonight here on 580 Sports Talk. Or 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. We got Sports Talk up until then. Of course, kind of got on autopilot there. I apologize. So we'll get to some baseball today. Also going to talk plenty of Chiefs. Minicamp is over. Mandatory minicamp done and dusted. So who had the best minicamp? Who are we hearing the best things about coming out of mandatory minicamp? And we've got our boots on the ground to ask that question because our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick, joins the show at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. He's our guest today, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. We'll get his eyewitness account of what he got a chance to see at mandatory minicamp, who he got a chance to hear from during the last 3 days, really, of minicamp before it wrapped up yesterday. And we continue our countdown to Chiefs Kickoff. There's no number 94 on the camp roster, so we're just going to re-rack what we were going to do yesterday with number 95. That, of course, is Chris Jones. So we'll continue our countdown to Chiefs Kickoff on this show as well. And we'll continue to keep you posted on the latest in, I'm not going to give it a scandal name and append a gate to the end of it. You guys know how much I hate doing that. But everything going on down there in Lubbock with Brendan Sorsby, the latest development is that attorneys general are fighting now. The AGs of Texas and Oklahoma are releasing statements, sternly worded statements. One of them is running for Senate while he's taking a little bit of time out to back Texas Tech in this case. So obviously a lot going on, and that's before you get to the 21-minute video released by Texas Tech Athletics on social media last night. 21 minutes? It's the length of a Blues Clues episode. Can't even hold my son's attention that long. Anyhow, we got more on that. We got to look ahead to one of the best sports weekends of the year coming up. There is truly something for everyone this coming weekend, Friday night through Sunday in sports. There is something for everyone. It's going to be an awesome weekend. We'll preview it. We've got, of course, our typical Friday shenanigans. We got our 580 Sports Talk headlines, including a playoff roundup and the debut of the World Cup roundup. Plus, we'll crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. We'll do Change My Mind. We'll do On Second Thought, all that fun stuff. Coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. You are, as always, invited and encouraged to be a part of this program. The text line, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also interact in the live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. We have tipped over the 980 subscriber mark. We have 19 subscribers to go before we get to 1,000. 1,000 YouTube subscribers. We're going to throw a party when we get there of some kind. Some sort of silliness is going to ensue when we get to 1,000. Get us one step closer today. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not yet done so. Again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. And let's throw out today, I'll throw out another question of the day today because you responses to this have been really good. So question of the day today on the text line and in the YouTube live chat. Which sporting event are you most excited? Are you going to make the time to make sure you watch this weekend? Which are you most excited for? Is it Game 5 of the NBA Finals? Is it Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final? Is it the College World Series? Is it, I know we got some fight fans who listen. Is it UFC 250 this weekend? Is it the Canadian Open? I know we got some golf fans. Whatever it is, maybe you're just really happy to get to watch some Royals baseball and enjoy some pleasant weather. Whatever it is, I want to hear about it. What sport are you most excited? What event? The World Cup. USA plays tonight. Which event are you most excited about this weekend? Tell me which one it is. I want to hear from you. 785-272-9429 in the text line, and then 580 Sports Talk, the YouTube live chat. That's going to be our question of the day. Hello to Vance, Mark H. See Britt in the chat today. Thanks for the kind words about my hat. I always appreciate compliments about my attire. Those are always welcome. Andrew's in the chat today as well. Thanks so much for you folks who are being a part of the show today. Look forward to hearing from more of you as we go along. Missed you guys yesterday. We did not end up having a show. As soon as they announced a 3:30 first pitch, I looked around and said, well, guys, let's all go home. And then the Royals proceeded to play one of their fastest games of the season, a 2-hour, 22-minute, very breezy getaway day game between the Royals and the Rangers, and the Rangers win it. They double up the Royals 4-2. Some early struggles for Michael Wacha, though he did provide what the Royals hoped that he would provide, and really sort of justified their decision to delay the game almost 2.5 hours while waiting for a torrential downpour that never came, because he did give him 7 innings. And Wacha wasn't fooling anybody. He only had 2 strikeouts yesterday and did give up the 4 runs on 9 hits, but he wasn't a quick outing. It wasn't a stress test of a Royals bullpen that needed a bit of relief. Beck Way, the only Royal who came out of the bullpen yesterday, threw 2 decent innings. That was a welcome bounce back for the rookie Way after the last time we'd seen him when he was almost conspiring to blow that Sunday afternoon game in Minneapolis. But the Royals could not do much of anything at the plate yesterday. And it all added up to a really limp 9 innings of baseball. The Royals are 3-5 this year following games in which they have either been walked off or lost in extra innings. And I think that speaks to a larger issue that I've had throughout the year with this team's leadership, or if you want to create a word out of whole cloth, their bounce back ability. Doesn't seem like they have a lot of that as a group. And after the disappointment of Wednesday night, and it was disappointing, they gave up the 2 runs in the top of the 10th. That was a game where they led and blew a save, and led again, and blew another save, and gave up 2 runs in the 10th because Alex Lang lost the strike zone. Again, that's just kind of what it is with him. You're going to have to live with that. If you're going to entrust him to high-leverage situations, he might walk in a run here and there, and that's what he did. That was a critical extra run there in that extra inning. It became even more critical when the Royals loaded the bases with nobody out. And, of course, the Royals did not get the big swing. They got a shallow fly out, and then Tyler Tolbert hit into a game-ending double play. I know there was a lefty on the mound. Carter Jensen's on the bench. You're probably going to get a better outcome from Carter Jensen. No guarantee, certainly. But wouldn't you rather have, I'd rather have Jensen up there against a lefty than Tolbert against anybody. I don't mean to pick on Tyler Tolbert. I don't have anything bad to say about Tyler Tolbert, the person, Tyler Tolbert, the teammate. I just feel like the Bobs in Office Space when I think about Tyler Tolbert. What is it you say you do here, Tyler? He plays a bunch of different positions. Cool. Does he play any of them well? Well, no. Oh, he's fast. Oh, so great. So he's a good base stealer. Well, no. Oh, he's a good base runner? Also, no. He's just fast. Funny thing, he pinch ran for Lane Thomas there in the late innings. I don't know why he was in the game in the first place. Pinch ran for Lane Thomas, got thrown out stealing because you want to say something that Tyler Tolbert is good at? Oversliding the base. I've never seen anybody get called out on replay because they overslid the base more often than Tyler Tolbert. They should call that for being the sake of being concise. They should call oversliding the base and being tagged out stealing. They should call that a Tolbert. They should keep the stat. They should call it a Tolbert in his honor, because that is the one thing he is proficient at doing. Sliding too hard into second base and coming off the bag for a millisecond and getting called out. And is that lame? Yes. Is that a perversion of what replay was intended to enforce? Absolutely. But the rule's the rule. The rule is the rule. Start your slide earlier. I don't know what you got to do. Hold the bag. I don't care what you have to do. Do it. Keep making outs. And then, of course, Tolbert at the plate, like, well, what's he good at the plate? Nothing. I don't understand. I know it's not a real great farm system the Royals have right now. They don't have a ton of guys knocking down the door at AAA or even at AA. But Tyler Tolbert's continued presence on the rosters is really, really mystifying to me. I don't know what it is that he does well or what it is that justifies his place on the roster. So, again, I started this by saying I don't mean to pick on him, but there I am at the end saying, why is this guy a major leaguer? I don't understand. I really don't understand. Anyway, that was a kick in the teeth on Wednesday night, obviously. And you would have thought, okay, rally the troops. We got a chance to win a third straight series. It's getaway day. That other dugout is annoyed that they've had to stay a couple of extra hours because they've been sun delayed. Let's go kick their teeth in. Let's go win a ball game. And instead, it was just 9 listless innings from the Kansas City Royals. And I don't understand that. And I just keep pointing to a lack of leadership on this baseball team. Just nothing seems to get these guys stirred up. Matt Quatraro, when he was hired and throughout his managerial career, it has been said that he is a very even keel, at least publicly facing, an even-keeled manager. Never too high, never too low. And when you have a good team, or when you have a team that's doing good things, that personality can be a real positive. But you have a team that needs a kick in the tail, and it doesn't seem like Matt Quatraro is capable of giving that to this team. That team you would have thought would kick itself in the tail yesterday, and instead it was just 9 limp, listless, boring. It was like they were the getaway day team. We can't wait to get out of town. We're going to lose in record time kind of effort. Very uninspiring. And again, the Royals, after a Detroit win yesterday, slip now all alone into last place in the American League Central. And the further down the road we get with that, the more likely it is that the Royals do indeed become sellers on the trade market. And about that, Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic had this in a notes column from yesterday. Quote, the Royals lack the pitching equivalence of what Carter Jensen was, potential candidates for next year's rotation in the upper minors. So even if they fall out of contention, they likely will not be as comfortable moving starters such as right-hander Seth Lugo under club control through 2027 and Michael Wacha through 2027. Left-hander Chris Bubich, a potential free agent, would be more likely to go, along with others on expiring contracts. Outfielder Lane Thomas, lefty reliever Matt Strom, and righty reliever John Schreiber among them. And I know what you're thinking. You hear those last 2 names. Any reliever on this year's Royals team, you hear them and trade in the same sentence. I know your first thought is, I will drive you to the airport. I will help you pack. Final paragraph here from Rosenthal. The Royals, like all teams, are open to anything. If they could trade Wacha and or Lugo for quality pitchers under longer club control, they would need to consider it. Any form of teardown, though, is likely not an option. The Royals want to win with shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. and third baseman Michael Garcia, both of whom are under contract through at least 2030. And that makes all the sense in the world, right? Like, you're not going to start a full-scale rebuild during Bobby Witt Jr.'s prime. Not going to do it. So any trade that the Royals make is not going to be for some high-A lottery ticket from the Dominican Republic. It's not going to be for somebody who's 3, maybe 4 years away from a big league impact. It's going to be for either guys who've tasted the major leagues but have kind of bounced back and forth for whatever reason, inconsistent performance or just lack of available opportunity from a team that's done a little bit more winning than the Royals have. It's going to be players like that. Wacha and Lugo are interesting because they do have more team control. You might think they'd be more desirable on the trade block and might be able to fetch a little bit more. But again, if you're not looking for lottery tickets 2-3 years down the road, you're going to need to build a pitching rotation for 2027. And right now, your pitching rotation for 2027, if you set Lugo and Waka aside, if for whatever reason you traded both of those guys, your rotation for 27 is Cole Reagans, who hasn't been healthy in 2 years, Stephen Kolek, Luinder Avila, is he a starter? Ryan Bergert off of Tommy John? How quick can Kendrick Churio get here? Not quick enough. That kid's really good. But he's also 18. Like, you need guys. You need guys who can start major league games. And the Royals just don't have a ton of those who in their organization who could either do it now or in 2027. So if they're going to make a trade, they have to get some of those guys. We'll get your thoughts on the Royals and your thoughts on whatever else is going on in the sports world today. Your answers to our question of the day, our early answers. Question of the day is, what are you most excited for sports-wise this weekend? The event, the game, the series, whatever, that you are most excited to watch in what is shaping up to be one of the blockbuster sports weekends of 2026. Want to hear from you, 785-272-9429, and on our live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider, coming up in just a little bit. We're going to do our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. We'll fill you in on AG's squabbling in the Brendan Sorsby fallout. We got headlines. We got what is wrong with you. We got a whole lot more fun to have on this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Stay with us. .30 on 580 Sports Talk. Welcome in on this Friday. It's nice to see you all again. Talk to you all again. Missed you yesterday. Thought we'd at least get about an hour and a half, 2 hours to hang out together. And then the Royals had the first ever rain delay with no rain. Probably not the first ever, but one of the first ever rain delays in Major League Baseball history with no rain. And then we'll turn around and lost the stinking game anyway. So that wasn't fun for anybody. But glad to be back with you on this Friday, here with you again until 6:30. We'll have a little overtime tonight before Royals Baseball Network coverage. 7:10 first pitch between the Royals and the Astros. Question of the day today on 580 Sports Talk. You can get your answers in on the live chat on YouTube or on our text line, 785-272-9429. I'll start on the text line with the 785 Royals versus Astros because I'm a glutton for punishment. I respect that. Hey, win the series. Guess that would only be a 500 homestand. You got to play better than 500 ball at home. You got to play a lot better than 500 ball at home if you're the Royals as it currently stands. But Astros are very good. So, yeah, Royals, should have a chance to win this series this weekend. Also from the 913 on the text line, it ain't soccer. It's college baseball. Well, there we go. College World Series. It's underway. I was watching this earlier before I went on the air. Good one in the opener in Omaha at Charles Schwab Fever. West Virginia and Troy deadlocked at 5 in the bottom of the 7th. Those Troy Trojan bats staying red hot, and they have rallied from early deficits. They were down 3-1 and 5-4. They were 1-0, 3-1, and 5-4, and they've come back, and they have tied it every single time. So, in fact, I think they might have even briefly led 4-3. So it's been a good game. Troy and West Virginia, the first one of the College World Series. From the live chat on YouTube, Britt says it's the fifth game of the NBA Finals, tipping off tomorrow night in San Antonio. We got a chance to see both the Larry O'Brien and the Stanley Cup hoisted this weekend. Game 5 of the NBA Finals on Saturday in San Antonio, with the Knicks up 3-1, and Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final on Sunday in Vegas, with Carolina 1 win away from the championship. Mark H. says for him, it's the World Cup. They're playing right now in Toronto. The home team not faring well. Canada trailing Bosnia and Herzegovina 1-0. They play in the 71st minute. Goal came on a set piece late in the first half. Had that match on as well. I was watching on Telemundo. I was watching on Telemundo because Alexi Lawless isn't on Telemundo. As long as Alexi Lawless is on Fox, I'm not watching Fox. I don't want to hear that dude talk. I don't want to accidentally hear that dude talk. I don't like him. I think he's obnoxious. I think he's bad for soccer, bad for television. So in Telemundo, I might only be able to understand every third word. I did take several years of Spanish, but at least it ain't Alexi Lawless. So I was watching on Telemundo, enjoying that. Andrew gives a power ranking for his favorite weekend events. Says the NBA playoffs, number 1, NHL, number 2, then the UFC 250, then the World Cup, and then baseball after that, non-specific baseball, which appreciate the thoroughness of the answer, Andrew. And yeah, a lot to be excited about. We'll talk more when we get into the playoff roundup in the 5 o'clock hour. But I have a theory about this year's championship series in both basketball and hockey. It feels like it's as good as it's been in a really long time. My favorite answer, though, comes from Vance in the YouTube chat, who says, Dan, I'm going to curl up with a 30-pack and watch every sport I can. Maybe not so much NBA. You know what? That is the move. This is a weekend to crank the AC, put some cold ones in the fridge, and just channel surf. No shortage of good stuff in the sports world this weekend. Great answer. Great answer, Vance. A quick Royals thought before we get to a timeout. We get to our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick. Texter from the 913 says they're worried about Vinny Pasquantino, that he might be going down the Hunter Dozier road. Hunter Dozier, first of all, wishes that his bad years would have looked like what is right now a bad year for Vinny Pasquantino. Vinny's still in a rut. The average has perked up, obviously, but still well below his standard. He's at a 662 OPS. This would be the first time in his career he's been a below average hitter per OPS plus. And barring an injury that we don't know about, whether, again, the back injury is still just kind of off and on with him, or there's something else going on, there's a lot of season left. And it's been a disappointing one for Pasquantino. There's no question about it. And really kind of the big question for Pasquantino is this a guy the Royals are going to commit money to long-term? And the answer to that is looking more and more like a no. But Hunter Dozier, in his last year as a Royal, had an OPS of 558. The years before that were 679 and 680. Again, Vinny's at 662, and it's the worst start of his career. So hopefully we're not talking about somebody going down that road. Again, Dozier's good year was in 2019 when they were using the fake Titleist baseballs. So I'm not too worried about Vinny Pasquantino being the next Hunter Dozier just yet. I hope you and I, friend, did not combine to speak that into existence. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick, on the program. We go to Kansas City for our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk. His name is Matt Derrick, covers the Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com. Matt, mandatory minicamp is in the books. What will you never forget about mandatory minicamp 2026?
Oh, that is a fantastic question. I mean, I guess the memory of this camp is going to be hey, Patrick Mahomes was just a part-time participant. You don't get to see him in part of the practice. He was doing 7-on-7, and that's it. And then you got a lot of Justin Fields and Garrett Nussmeier, and talk about just two sides of different coins. Just not the same when you're watching Patrick in 7-on-7s, and then you get to see Justin Fields and Nussmeier, bless their hearts.
Yeah, quite a tease, I'm sure, to only get to see Mahomes in effectively past skeleton drills. But how did the quarterbacks look? How would you size up the QB2 and QB3 on the depth chart when they got to go in the 11-on-11 stuff?
Yeah, and I'm going to grade a little bit out of a curve because both those guys are new. They've got a lot to learn, and and this was their first action. I mean, and between the two of them, I mean, remember, there was only 8 practices between OTAs and the rookie minicamp this year, since the cutting out an entire week of the off-season program, and so they didn't get a ton of chances and opportunities. Now, obviously, with it came to team periods, it was pared down quite a bit since you didn't have Mahomes in the rotation, and the Chiefs, at least in the portions of the practices that were open to the media, the 4 practices that we got to see, they didn't give Chris Oladokun any reps. So those two guys, Fields and Nussmeier, did the bulk of the work, and things were off. I mean, there's no doubt about it. When you're working with new receivers, and that's why I say grading on a curve, some things you have to take into consideration. But the bigger concern to me was that it wasn't mistiming or miscommunication, anything of that nature. It was really just both quarterbacks never really seemed to establish some comfort level. I thought there was a couple of times that Justin Fields looked like maybe at the end of a practice he got some rhythm, but we saw a lot of errant throws, and it's not like the errant throws that bothered me as much as it's the failed throws or just not being able to pull the triggers, especially for Fields. That's kind of the knock coming from New York, was just that he held the ball too long and at times, scrambled too many times, but that really more often it was just never the ability to get the ball out on time. And that's something that we saw. And you saw a little bit with Nussmeier, although I think the bigger issue for Nussmeier was, the scouting report on him coming out of college was just that last year with the injury, he picked up some bad habits that he was going to have to get out of. And I think that kind of proved true as well. So you got two quarterbacks that, I think there's potential there, but the Chiefs are going to have to work with them. They're going to have to develop some things to squeeze a bit more out of them because there's mistakes being made.
Matt Derrick is our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk, covers the Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline here on this Friday. Matt, a couple of things that we all got to see at the dais. I'll start with a jacked and shredded Josh Simmons, but also a Josh Simmons that weighs in about 280, 290 pounds. Is that a concern for a starting left tackle? How much do the Chiefs need him to put on? And did Andy Reid sound concerned when he talked about Simmons' size or lack thereof?
Andy Reid really doesn't seem to be that concerned at all, I thought. I mean, he talked a little bit about, not being at cheeseburger weight, but but he also was like, hey, you got 6 weeks until training camp here. There's some time to put on some weight. And, what's a good weight for a tackle? You don't have to be 330 pounds. I think last year, Josh, if I remember correctly, was maybe around 310, 315. And you're right. I mean, if you've seen, I know Jesse Newell, our friend out there from the Kansas City Star, or from the Athletic now, put out the side-by-side from a press conference last year with Josh Simmons, and you can see the reformation. I mean, it's a whole new body, and I think it's a bigger deal than just how good a shape he's in, because if he puts on 10 to 15 pounds, even if it's a little baby fat, right now, I didn't see like an ounce of fat on that guy. I mean, I would just be intrigued to know what his body fat percentage is right now, because it's got to be low. I don't think it's an issue. And, and also there's a point to be made that there's a lot of smaller, faster edge rushers in the league. Chiefs have one of them now, and Mason Thomas. Maybe there's an advantage there, but I also, it looks like right now that Josh Simmons, if he wanted to take, somebody like Max Crosby and just pick him up and bend him over his knee like Bo Jackson's cracking a bat, I think he could do it right now. That dude looks ripped.
While we're on the topic of the offensive line, Andy Reid says the right tackle position is an open competition. How open do you think that competition really is? Did Jalen Moore have a pretty good stranglehold on the job, to the sense that it's his to lose? Or has the work of guys like Esapole or undrafted Khalil Benson really maybe opened up right tackle as a position of possibility?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. The word he used yesterday was mainstay with Jalen Moore about what he is at right tackle right now. And I get that sense that it's kind of like, hey, the Chiefs know that Jalen Moore is kind of the stalking horse. He's the guy that they can start at right tackle in week 1, and they're perfectly fine with that. If somebody beats him out, they're perfectly fine with that. And they're going to give any number of guys a chance. I mean, right now it's Khalil Benson finished getting those chances. Esapole had opportunities. They put Drew Godric in there at times. I still think there's a chance you may see Ethan Driscoll factor in there at some point in the conversation, even if it's just for the backup and swing spots. But yeah, I take Andy Reid at his word that, they really like what they've seemed to have found in Khalil Benson. And, and obviously Pole and Godric, both of them played last year at the end of the season. They feel like that both those guys can do something enough comfortably that it wasn't like they just traded depth with Wanya Morris, sending him to Atlanta. it was pretty clear early in the offseason that, Wanye was just, the odd man out, that the Chiefs had just felt like the other guys had passed him along enough that they weren't going to have Wanye this season. He wasn't in their plans. So I don't even think that deal was like, I see some people talk about being a loss of depth. I mean, Chiefs didn't really consider him to be depth. I mean, if anything, I think they really thought that he might be their 6th or 7th best offensive tackle right now.
Matt Derrick joining us here on 580 Sports Talk from ChiefsDigest.com. He's our Chiefs insider here on the program. Also looking noticeably buffer at the dais was Xavier Worthy. And this is a big year for Xavier Worthy and a big opportunity for him during minicamp to serve as wide receiver number 1 on the depth chart with the ostensible wide receiver number 1, Rashee Rice, otherwise occupied. We'll go with unavoidably detained, literally, for Rashee Rice. But it's a big season for Worthy coming up. Year 3, a year where the Chiefs are going to have to make a decision after this. Do they want the 5th-year option? Do they want to do an extension? Or is he just not a player that fits their future plans? What did you see from him during minicamp? Because it certainly sounds like he made a really good impression on some of the new offensive assistants.
Yeah, I thought that Xavier Worthy had one of the best off seasons of anybody, especially on the offensive side. He and Cyrus Allen, both at wide receiver, were really impressive, but especially Worthy. I don't remember, being able to single out a drop. There's probably one that I would say was definitely on him, but he seemed to catch most everything that came his way. His routes looked crisp, looked strong. Last week he and Mahomes had a back shoulder play that was just super impressive. And, it's a kind of a play that the Chiefs haven't always had, or if they've had it, it's been something you would see more likely from Mahomes and Kelsey. There was a rhythm and a chemistry there, and certainly something that was missing last year when he was just never 100%. And I thought it was interesting, Dan, that, when I asked him if he felt 100% now, even though he was in that yellow jersey, that non-contact jersey, he said no. I mean, that he was, he thought that he could probably do it without the jersey, but that his surgeon for the torn labrum advised it. He suggested he's still not 100%. He sure looked 100%. And if this offseason period was Xavier Worthy still getting up to speed, that's scary, because I thought he looked every bit the part of a number 1 receiver. And if Rashee Rice comes in and gives him the same thing, and you got 2 guys at that level, that's going to be a big deal. I mean, I don't think that the Chiefs need Xavier Worthy to be a 1,000-yard receiver this year, unless something happens with Rashee Rice. But, I mean, they certainly need him to be like an 800-yard receiver. And what I saw the last few weeks, I think he can do that.
Because so much of it is 7-on-7, there are a lot of opportunities for receivers to impress. Outside of Worthy, who looked the part at wide receiver for the Chiefs during minicamp?
Yeah, I was really impressed with Cyrus Allen. He's not the fastest guy. He's not going to blow you away with athleticism. He's just really good at his craft. And, and maybe that's what the Chiefs need. I mean, because I've mentioned before, I mentioned this leading up to the draft, that the Chiefs at receiver really favored tools in the past. They've always been about speed and those kind of things. And, really kind of left, catching the ball as a later priority, and route running, thinking, hey, you can develop that. You can teach that. I'm not always sure you can. I mean, I think you need to have a pretty good base coming in. And Cyrus Allen has that. I mean, he has a really good route runner. You can tell that. The coaches, Xavier Worthy even mentioned that he's really good at that. Like I said, not the fastest guy in the world, but if he's in the right place at the right time, every time, which he mostly was during it looked like off-season workouts, that's huge. It's something the Chiefs just one, I don't think they had a lot of last year, and 2, haven't always seen in some of their younger receivers. I think right now, at least on the field, he was no worse than the 3rd best receiver that the Chiefs had on the field during OTAs, and I think that's going to be a big deal. I'm not predicting that, hey, rookie year he's going to go out and have 600 yards or anything. That's tough to do. But he could get close to it. I mean, I could certainly see, this being a 500-yard season for a guy like him and a few touchdowns, because he just looks really comfortable in the offense right now.
A couple more questions for our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com, appearing with us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, the Chiefs signed L'Jarius Sneed, brought back an old friend because the Chiefs love bringing back old friends. A 1-year deal to bring the defensive back into camp. Is he a lock for the 53-man roster, do you feel, or is he going to have to go and earn his spot back in the slot?
Yeah, I think he's going to have to earn a little bit of it back. I mean, he certainly brings in a lot of cred, and he obviously knows this defense, which is going to help. And honestly, I feel like that even with the contract, it's got some incentives and everything. I mean, it's still a really low minimum salary contract, so it's not a big cost. It's a low risk, but I think he is going to have to work his way in there and kind of prove what he needs. And the only thing that worries me about the Snead deal is that if the Chiefs feel like that they need L'Jarius Snead, it's like, what do they feel like that they're missing? And I could see a lot of ways that he fits in. I mean, remember, he was a safety turn corner coming into the NFL. So, I mean, is this a point in his career where maybe you consider a move back to safety? I could possibly see that. You know, it's obviously if he makes the roster, it's going to squeeze somebody out. Or is he here to be a veteran? You know, even though Deion Bush the last few years have been on the practice squad, all the players talked about, hey, he was a mentor. He was an important guy to have around, just to have his experience and everything. They liked having that. And this is a young defensive back group, especially at corner. So if he's there to be a mentor and is fine with potentially a practice squad role, I mean, remember, been a free agent for 3 months and nobody seemed to show much interest. So it's not like I think you'd have a lot of teams jumping up to claim him and everything going into the season. So maybe you could squeeze him onto the practice squad. And if, like I said, if that's what he's here for, then I think it's okay. But if he's here because Dave Merritt and Steve Spagnuolo just don't feel like that they like what they entirely see in the secondary, then I have some concerns about that.
Yeah, to that point, we didn't see Mansour Delane at minicamp. He sat out. Andy Reid said it was mostly precautionary with the shoulder injury. Again, this is a scenario where it's tough for defensive backs to look good because it's easy for receivers to look good. But did any of the defensive backs strike you as having a particularly good minicamp?
I honestly thought Delane had the best camp of any of the top tier corners, and that's why it wouldn't surprise me if obviously he's a starter week 1. But Noel Williams and Christian Fulton were good last year especially at the end, but they were both inconsistent at times, and I think we still saw that. It looks like Melvin Smith, one of the undrafted rookies from last year, has kind of bypassed Kevin Knowles a little bit, but they might be fighting it out for a spot too. Christian Roland Wallace, who's kind of a safety now. I mean, that's where he's been working of late. But he looks like he is probably going to be in line to be a slot corner this year. And right now, I mean, using Andy Reid's terminology about Jalen Moore, he's kind of the mainstay at that spot. I think Jaden Kennedy obviously is going to make this team. I just don't know where a guy like Kader Kohou fits in. And, and once again, I didn't feel like outside of maybe Roland Wallace, I don't know if there's anybody that, especially just claimed their spot in OTAs and minicamp. It seems like, again, there's a lot of testing going on by Dave Merritt and Steve Spagnuolo trying to figure out their best lineup. And I think that's going to go on for a while.
Matt Derrick covers the Kansas City Chiefs at ChiefsDigest.com, and he is our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk, appearing with us every Friday at this time. Matt, thank you so much for wading through the tail end of mandatory minicamp with us on 580 Sports Talk today. It is always a pleasure. Enjoy the weekend. We'll do it again next week.
I appreciate you, Dan. Take care.
That is Matt Derrick. We'll take a timeout, come back, and put a wrap on this final hour, or this first hour. No, we're not done yet. For first hour, 580 Sports Talk with On Second Thought. On second thought, maybe, just maybe, delaying a baseball game for rain when there is no rain, maybe that had an inverse effect on the Texas Rangers. Maybe that didn't lull them to sleep or annoy them. Maybe that fired them up. Maybe that was something that they rallied around in that Rangers clubhouse. That, well, if we're going to be here all day for no reason, may as well walk out of here with a win and a series win. And they did. They played inspired baseball, and they won 4-2. And the Royals played listless baseball, and they lost. And they lost the series. And it feels like that momentum they came out of that road trip with has completely fallen by the wayside. And that's not acceptable. That's a failure of leadership. That's the difference between a team that's buried where the Royals are buried and a team with the Rangers who started real slow but have now dug their way back to the 500 mark. They haven't been 500 since May 1st. They're back to 500 with yesterday's win. Of course, it helps. They're getting all their guys healthy. Royals are just getting more and more banged up, with Seth Lugo now sporting a welt on his head and Kyle Isbell on the IL, and still no sign of Chris Bubich and Cole Reagans. Well, sign of Bubich. He did throw in a rehab assignment earlier this week, so at least that happened. That'll do it for this hour of 580 Sports Talk. When we come back in the 4 o'clock hour, we're going to pivot. We're going to talk some Chiefs, continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff, look at the players who made the most noise during mandatory minicamp. We'll also keep you abreast of the latest involving Texas Tech, Brendan Sorsby, and now the attorneys general of Texas and Oklahoma. Plus, what is wrong with you on 580 Sports Talk? Well, let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on a Friday. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Glad you're with us. Again, Royals baseball tonight at 6:30 with pregame coverage on the Baseball Network, and then 7:10 first pitch between the Royals and the Astros at the K. Means we'll have a little overtime prior to our handoff to the Royals Baseball Network here tonight on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. 2 hours left to hang out with you today. We're going to get to our countdown to Chiefs kickoff, which was obviously halted yesterday on account of not having a show. What did you do with your sudden and unexpected 2 free hours that you didn't know you were going to get with the Royals game being delayed and ultimately preempting us?
Well, I sat here and just talked with Brendan about random stuff for a while until he had to leave. And then I sat here for a few minutes longer and I said, oh, yeah, I need to go get gas. So I went down the hill and got gas. And then called my mom, talked to her about stuff, and then went home.
All right.
And then still ate dinner at the normal time, though.
Okay. I was saying at the top of the hour, so I texted my wife. I said, hey, have you gone picked up our son yet from daycare? And she said she had not. I said, all right, wait for me. I want to come too, because I never get to pick my son up from daycare, right? Like I'm doing this, and I'm doing this until 6. And if they waited for me, daycare would be closed, and we would owe them extra money for making them stay late. So anyway, my wife always handles pickup. Obviously, she goes right after school during the school year. It's not the school year right now. She goes around 4:00 every day when we do take him in. So I say, yeah, hey, wait up for me. Went met her at the house, and we drove to pick Asher up. And we go into the daycare room. They were inside. It's been a little too hot on the heat index for the kiddos to go outside. And so as I understand it, what usually happens is Asher runs right over to my wife and just is very excited to show her what he is playing with, what toys it is that he is playing with, and just presents them to her, and then goes and gets something else and presents it to her. And sometimes he don't want to leave. He just wants to keep playing with his toys. But anyway, always really excited to see my wife. Well, we walk in together, and my wife goes in the door first, and then I come in behind her, and Asher's eyes light up, and he goes, Daddy! And he runs over to me. Like, my wife may as well not have even been in the room. Runs right over to me, and he's got some sort of like Lego dinosaur that he is playing with, and he proudly shows me his purple dinosaur. And that was cool. And all those moments where your kids, especially when they're little, because, I mean, those are the ages where they are the most excited to see you. If we're being real honest about it, I'm aware. I remember how it went for me being a kid. You're never as excited as when you're little.
And
but
then,
those
then
moments,
they're a teenager and they don't want to see you at all.
Exactly. They just as soon you leave them alone. So, those moments when they are excited to see you and they come running over to you with that big smile, those are the best. Those every single day, like coming home from work and getting one of those is the absolute highlight of my day. And so it was really cool to kind of surprise my son and get to do it at daycare. And then my wife and I went and got pizza. But before that, we had time to like hang out of the house, and Asher wanted to play with his like magnet blocks. So we played with those on the floor, and thankfully wasn't trying to jump off the couch onto the living room floor like he was trying to do the night before. He's got a daredevil streak that one.
So
But anyway.
You got pizza last night.
Yeah.
We're getting pizza tonight.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Friday night, more typical pizza night.
Yeah.
We have some leftovers we keep forgetting to thaw. And so it's like, well, forgot to thaw the leftovers. Where are we going for dinner tonight? So I don't know. We got the I think we'll cook tonight. We'll make something tonight. We'll figure out what we're going to do. Anyway, this is getting wet. We're getting a little far afield. As I promised, we're going to do our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. Talk a little bit about who was the most impressive at minicamp. Also, the latest on what's happening with Texas Tech and Brendan Sorsby. We have now the attorneys general of Texas and Oklahoma weighing in, which is absolutely the last thing that
This
this
is
whole
getting
situation needed.
way too much.
So we will get there. We'll also play around and change my mind to wrap this hour. We want to hear from you. The text line remains open. 785-272-9429 is the number. That is 785-272-9429. You can also, again, interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Still want to hear from you. If you're just tuning in, our question of the day today on the text line and in the live chat, want to know which sporting event you are most excited to see this weekend, because there's so much sports this weekend. So I want to hear from you. Which event are you most excited for? Is it baseball? Is it a championship final in the NBA or the NHL? Is it the UFC fights? Is it the College World Series? Is it the World Cup? What are you most excited for? We're not like doing anything with the data or anything like that, but we are kind of taking the pulse of the audience. Kind of want to know, like, what are you the most excited to watch this weekend? Text us 785-272-9429. Again, in the live chat on 580 Sports Talk. We'll get more into that and give some of your answers as we go along today. So yesterday was 95 days until Chiefs kickoff. And there are some numbers on the countdown to Chiefs kickoff that are real layups, right? Yeah. 95, 87, 15. Any of the retired numbers are really easy. 56, the 86. Some of these days on the countdown to kickoff are easier than others. And yesterday was in line to be one of those real easy days, especially because Chris Jones had just the day before spoken to the media at mandatory minicamp. Then we didn't have a show. So today is 94 days to Chiefs kickoff. What a relief to find that there is not a current number 94 on the Chiefs active roster.
Because if there was, he would be a college free agent, most likely.
Yeah, we don't have a number 94 on the active roster. I'm trying to pull up because we did this last year, but I still would appreciate a refresher. The number 94 was last worn by Malik Herring, who is finally no longer, I say finally like I'm glad he's not on the roster anymore. That's not how I mean. Malik Herring was a good organizational soldier for the last 4 years, but he is no longer number 94 on the Chiefs roster. He's the one who wore it last. Who wore it best? Tyson Jackson, the former number 3 overall pick of the 2009 NFL draft. 5 years, 9 sacks. And that's the best player to ever wear the jersey number 94. So suffice it to say, not a number with a great deal of, not a number with a great deal of legacy in Chiefs history. So the good news for us is we just double back and do what we were going to do yesterday with Chris Jones. We'll just double back and do number 95 today on the 94 days until the Chiefs kick off their 2026 season against the Broncos at home at Arrowhead Stadium. Chris Jones, he has to be better in 2026, and he knows he has to be better. That was one of the things that he addressed when he talked to the media on Wednesday. So there are two things that Jones has to be on this team, and one of them is obviously more productive. Jones is still a really good player. Go ahead and start there. He is still really good. There are not many defensive tackles you would take over Chris Jones, even today, even as he has slipped from the primacy of the years where he was double-digit sacks and a contender for Defensive Player of the Year. He has 12 combined sacks over the last 2 seasons. Last year was the first time he hadn't been an All-Pro since 2019. He'd been a 3-time first-team All-Pro, 3 in a row, 2022 through 2024. Even in a year where he only had 5 sacks, he was a first-team All-Pro. That's how good he was, even with diminished production in the sack department. But Jones is aware, the Chiefs are aware. It's nice to have pressures, and it's nice to have a fancy pass rush win rate. But at the end of the day, those things give you a chance to sack the quarterback. Just like if you look at baseball, hard hit percentage or launch angle or exit velocity, those give you the chance to get hits. But if you do not get hits, then what is the use? If you do not get sacks, then what good is it if you are winning your matchup, if you are pressuring the quarterback? The quarterback's got to go down. The quarterback's got to feel you. And for the last 2 years, that has not been the case for the opponents of the Kansas City Chiefs because the Chiefs have dropped back towards the middle of the pack when it comes to team sack numbers. So Jones has that responsibility to try and see if at age 32, if he can continue to trend back upwards as he did last year when he went up to 7 sacks after having had 5 in 2024. Can he get back to being a double-digit sack specialist in the heart of that Chiefs defensive line? But the other responsibility, a fascinating responsibility for Jones, is that now he's the old man in the room, so to speak.
The unk.
That is his term, the unk, if you will. I am too chopped to use the term unk, ironically or unironically.
Why? Is it because you could be the unk?
I'm also too chopped to use the word chopped in that fashion. But anyhow, I know what the kids are saying. I'm getting to the age, though, where it sounds ridiculous if I say it.
Yeah.
You round that corner every single time. It'll happen to you. Anyway, that's one of the things Chris Jones talked about when he did speak to the media. This is Jones's thoughts on being the old guy in the club, the unk, if you will.
You see, I'm wearing a do-rag now, so unk status is we're finally reaching unk status. But I think it's fun, man. When you got a lot of young guys that's hungry, and you can definitely use that as motivational. Also, the way they're flying around. So I think it's a challenge. Accept it, and I'm looking forward to playing with those guys.
So the thing that makes this interesting to me is that you have a motivated Chris Jones trying to get back to an all-pro level. And also you have a Chris Jones who is in a leadership position. And it's not like he hasn't been a leader on the defense before. It's not like he's never been called upon to be a leader. But now this is as young as this defensive line group has been, with Peter Woods as a rookie, and R. Mason Thomas as a rookie, and Omar Norman-Lott in year 2, and Ashton Gelati in year 2. And now, if you're Jones, you've got to set the standard for how you prepare, how you play, how you perform. Everything about what you do is going to be watched by the guys who are trying to be you. And in particular, with Peter Woods, a guy who's got the physical ability to be as impactful. But that's pretty lofty. Let me back up a little bit. He's got the physical tools to impact games in a major way. Like, he has got a Pro Bowl, maybe even an all-pro ceiling. I don't want to put Chris Jones' ceiling on anybody because I firmly believe he's going to Canton. That's lofty. But could Peter Woods, given his athletic traits, could he be an all-pro caliber player? I think that's the upside. I think that's why you make him a first-round pick. And Jones was impressed with what he saw from Peter Woods. Here's the unk talking about, I guess, the nephew.
He's a big guy. He's strong. He's a young bull, man. Got so much potential. His skill set still improving. It's good to get that type of talent in the building. We can utilize him in a lot of ways. He played end, plays nose, also played 3-tech. So that versatility, we definitely can utilize it in the schematics that we run with Spags defense.
So the Chiefs have often referred to, over the course of this dynastic run they've been on, iron sharpening iron.
Yes.
And there is an opportunity for this defensive line group and for Chris Jones to have this position that he's in as the tone setter, the veteran example, the elder statesman, not just be a guiding light for some really talented young guys. In fact, I think Woods is probably as talented a young defensive lineman as the Chiefs have brought in since Chris Jones. But it's got a chance to make him better, to energize him. And I'm optimistic that we're going to see an all-pro caliber season from Chris Jones. I think he's still got that level in him at age 32. And I think that the circumstances are such that you could really see that, I think, brought out of him in this 2026 campaign. In regards to how the rest of minicamp went, We talked with Matt Derrick about this, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com. If you missed that interview, it was the first hour of today's show. You can catch it on the podcast, on our podcast page, 580WIBW.com. Looking for us on Spotify, 580 Sports Talk, or just rewind on the live video right now on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. You'll also be able to hear it. It'll be our 580 Sports Talk overtime conversation of the day, so you can catch it then, too. But we talked about Xavier Worthy, who took advantage of the opportunity presented him to be the number one wide receiver for mandatory minicamp. He's number 2 on the depth chart, but number 1 on the depth chart is in jail right now. So Xavier Worthy is number 1 on the depth chart.
Until next week.
Until next week, right. But that meant he got to be number 1 at mandatory minicamp. So he got to match up against Kansas City's best defensive backs. He got to run the primary routes, got to be the primary on a lot of plays, and people were really impressed with the way that he played. Andy Reid, I don't have the audio here, but I'll read the quote as transcribed by a friend of the program, Jesse Newell, Chiefs beat writer for The Athletic. Xavier really had a nice camp. Stronger. That's the part that you like. You really see it. We put him in a lot of the primary positions, and I thought he did a nice job with all of it. Pointing out that Worthy is stronger, and goodness, he's got to be. You just don't know how much more strength he can put on the frame that he's got. He's kind of limited when you're 5'10 and you're that skinny.
Yeah.
To how much you're going to put on a frame that's right around 160, but he's got to get stronger. Like, this is go time for Xavier Worthy, and it is encouraging that he took advantage of this opportunity to have a really good camp. So I thought that quote and that Reid pointing out increased strength from Worthy, who had the yellow jersey on all camp, says he's still not 100%. And as Matt Derrick put it when we talked to him, if that was Worthy at less than 100%, that could be really exciting. But I thought this was really interesting, too, because Worthy also spoke to the media during mandatory minicamp. And I'll just read the paragraph verbatim from Jesse Newell's article, which you should read at The Athletic. And if you're a non-athletic subscriber, you should be, because you get to read Jesse and CJ Moore and lots of our other friends. Quote, O'Shea's presence, that is new Chiefs wide receiver coach Chad O'Shea. O'Shea's presence and no-nonsense style seem to have had an impact on Worthy, too. Worthy said his new position coach's, quote, energy is unmatched, and says he's fed off that enthusiasm and hard coaching over the last few weeks. Quote, I feel like that's something young guys kind of need, Worthy said. Somebody to push them and be out there with them in the fire. Which leads me to 2 conclusions. Number 1, Connor Embry was just getting cardio in and taking a paycheck, first and foremost.
Which, I mean, is widely questioned of how much he really helped the receiver. So,
but second of all, I think it was Britt in the YouTube comments who pointed out, yeah, I forgot this is Worthy's 3rd year already. And it is. It's time flies. This is going to be Xavier Worthy's 3rd year in the pros. That means he's still kind of a young guy in the league and still has an opportunity to get better. He was not good last year. He has not, except for fits and starts, been a good player in his first 2 years in the league. That's fact. There have also been some, mitigating circumstances, particularly the injuries that he dealt with last year, the shoulder that never went away, the ankle injury that seemed to affect him all year as well. And the Chiefs flat out admitting, yeah, we had to use him in a certain way that really wasn't what we had in mind coming into the year because of that shoulder injury. So there are mitigating circumstances, but I don't think you can write off a leap forward for Xavier Worthy, given the fact he still has the top tier speed. He still has a plus tool in the toolbox. And I will take a guy with a plus tool, whether that's size, whether that's route running, whether that's winning at the catch point, whether that's speed. I'll take a bet on a guy with a plus tool, and Worthy has that. And now it feels like he's getting coached. And he's going to have an opportunity, should he stay healthy, no sure thing, but should he stay healthy, to be the player that the Chiefs are envisioning him to be. And that can only be beneficial, I think, for Xavier Worthy moving forward. Other players who had a good camp. A lot of talk about Khalil Benson, the undrafted free agent right tackle out of Indiana. The thing that maybe raised my eyebrows the highest from Andy Reid when he spoke yesterday was referring to right tackle as an open competition. And look, the way that he phrased it made it pretty clear that Jalen Moore is going to go in as right tackle number one, and it's going to take something really impressive to knock him off of that perch. But it sure sounds like Benson caught everybody's attention this week, that Esapole has made big strides coming in for now his second NFL camp, and that the Chiefs really like their depth that's starting to develop at tackle. You know what the other tell on that is? Wanye Morris is an Atlanta Falcon.
Yeah. Once that happened, which is crazy to think because the team overall and everything that came out around draft time was they need more depth at offensive tackle. They're going to draft an offensive tackle in the first couple rounds. The tackle is the guy they're going to go with. Tackle is the guy they're going to go. And they didn't. They had so much depth, they think, that they traded Wanye Morris.
Which happened yesterday, in case you missed it. We didn't get to talk about it here. So if you are wholly and completely reliant on us for your sports news and information, first of all, thank you. Second of all, Wanye Morris got traded to the Falcons yesterday. Wanye and a seventh in 2027, seventh rounder for a sixth rounder in 2027. So that's one guy. Another thing that I thought was interesting that came up in Nate Taylor's article over at ESPN.com. Kenneth Walker III got a bad rep because of something Chris Collinsworth said about him in the Super Bowl broadcast that everybody heard, which was essentially he can't block and he can't catch, which wild thing to say.
Yeah.
Hints of truth to it. Like there was a reason that Walker was in a job share with Zach Charbonnet. There was a reason he didn't play third down snaps even in the Super Bowl after Charbonnet was hurt for the Seahawks. But Kenneth Walker can catch the ball. Like, are you going to throw him a bunch of Texas routes? Is he going to be Christian McCaffrey all of a sudden? No, he's not that. He's not even probably a Samad J.P. Ryan, where you can use him in that capacity on third down, where he can pick up a blitz and then he can go out and he can catch a ball in the flat. But you know what he can do? Catch a screen pass and make things happen. Nate Taylor pointed out that he was really impressive in the screen game during camp. The Chiefs have been awful in the screen game the last couple of years. And we have looked at their running back personnel and thought, well, they should be better. You know, Jet McKinnon was a good, valuable part of their screen game. Samaj P. Ryan, not quite the same kind of runner. Last year, we thought maybe Brashard Smith would help them get their screen game going. Didn't really happen. Kenneth Walker's going to help the screen game. And it's going to bring that element back to the Chiefs offense. And I am still of the belief that we are going to come to find, as we watch the Chiefs navigate the 2026 season, that there were so many things that were broken about the offense the last 2 years that even just the presence of one guy, Kenneth Walker III, fixes. It's going to be like if you have a bunch of light bulbs out. Like you've got a big light fixture and a bunch of the light bulbs are out. They're just not working. And or a Christmas tree with you got a whole section of lights out.
Oh yeah, because that always happens.
Because one light is out, right?
Yes.
And you got to find the dead light, and you replace the dead light, and all of a sudden, all the lights working. Like, I kind of feel like that's going to be Kenneth Walker III for this Chiefs offense. And that's not me saying, oh, everything is automatically fixed. I just think a lot is going to look better simply because of his presence. And the screen game, I think, has a real chance to be one of those things. We'll take a time out here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, we'll crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. So what is wrong with you time on 580 Sports Talk? We've got 2 news stories to tell you about today. Try and take down our current weekly champion. You can outrun the cops, but not an alligator. 40-year-old Louisiana man found that out the hard way after he lit off from a DWI search, or stop, rather, jumped into a swamp, and then got chomped by an alligator. We think twice because it says he suffered injuries to both arms. Although alligators can get their jaws pretty wide. Maybe he did get both arms at once. Who can say? But anyway, that would ultimately lead to the police apprehending the man in question. He outran the police, but he did not. He tried to play a road game against an alligator, and man, that stadium pulse was shaking the entire screen. And don't mess around with that. All right, 2 news stories today. We'll go with mine first. So, you familiar with the idea of bra burning, Spencer?
No.
So it was a big part of some of the feminist movement of the 1960s. And it's one of the things that you kind of associate with the whole idea of like the real radical feminist movement of the late 60s, where women would like burn their bras. Like this is a tool of the patriarchy, something along those lines. Like a real Cliff Notes version of this. Like it was a thing that protesters used to do. I don't know what this child was protesting at a Walmart in Renton, Washington, when he set fire to a rack of bras inside a Walmart around 8 p.m. on Friday. Police have released photos of the suspect. He's believed to be a teenage boy about 16 to 18 years old with very short black hair and brown eyes. Apparently, around 8 p.m., he showed up at the Renton, Washington Walmart in a white Cadillac Escalade, went directly to the women's lingerie section, and allegedly set fire to the bras. In-store video shows the suspect crouching briefly in the area where the fire started before going back to the Cadillac and getting away. The building had to be evacuated and ventilated after the flames were put out. The suspect, at least as of yesterday, remains at large. So, yeah, just decided he was going to light some bras on fire.
Wild.
Who knows what that's all about? I don't know that it had anything to do with the feminist movement. Yeah. I could be wrong. Maybe the kid is really inspired by the Miss America protest in 1968. I have my doubts. I have my doubts he even knows what that is. I think he was probably trying to be funny. Just light some bras on fire. Anyway, what have you got for your story today?
We're going to West Melbourne, Florida. A Broward County man was arrested after authorities say he falsely claimed to be an attorney and attempted to represent a client during a traffic stop.
Wait, hold up. Keep going. Sorry. That's wild. Go ahead.
According to West Melbourne police, the incident began when officers pulled over a woman and were interviewing her on the roadside. During the traffic stop, Derrick Zachary Shoffus arrived and identified himself as the woman's lawyer, attorney said. Investigators said he was dressed in a suit, spoke as though he were an attorney, and attempted to negotiate with the officers on the woman's behalf.
Wait. Like, did the woman call him, or did he just show up? He's like, is he doing some like ambulance chasing here? Like in a literal sense? Like he just popped up? Like, excuse me.
Sounds like it.
Excuse me. If I may speak on this woman's behalf, trust me, I'm her lawyer.
Police quickly became suspicious. I wonder why, and determined he was not licensed to practice law in Florida. According to the arrest report, authorities arrested him on charges of practicing law without a license and obstruction by a disguised person. Legal experts said falsely representing oneself as an attorney is a serious offense because it can interfere with legal proceedings and mislead the public.
Here's a great detail. The arrest report stated that investigators contacted Shoffus's father, who allegedly laughed when asked whether his son was a licensed attorney, and described him as, quote, a street lawyer. What is a street lawyer? That's not a thing.
A street pharmacist. Same thing.
Do you think he has business cards? Derrick Shoffus, street attorney at law.
I don't know.
He just popped up. He just happened to say, oh, this woman appears she may need the services of a lawyer, which I am not.
Yeah.
But I'm dressed like one and I talk like one. Like, what does he get out of this? Like,
I don't know, but I feel like they're trying to look in to see if he's trying to falsely represent anybody else. And also, There's no court records were not immediately available, so they couldn't see if he actually retained counsel or he tried to represent himself.
He just popped up. Like, hey, it's all right, ma'am. It's okay. I'm your lawyer. I'm your lawyer now. Look at me. Look at me. I'm the lawyer now. Not even a lawyer at all. Like, I think this wins the week.
Yeah, it might be a late stealer there.
I mean, as much as I like the guy getting, learning the hard way that you don't run through a swamp in Louisiana, as though that's a lesson any of us had any questions about without even having to try it and experience it for ourselves. This guy's just going around and saying, hey, I'm a lawyer. I'm your lawyer. I just decided. Let me help you out. Let me give you a hand out of the goodness of my heart. Said no real lawyer ever. And apparently, his dad's like, well, that's just Derrick.
Yeah, it's something he does.
Yeah. Oh.
I just want to, the scene of this is wild. You're just Derrick's just driving down the road and he sees a traffic stop. He pulls over behind the police officer.
He's dressed for the part. He's got a satchel. You don't have to get ready, Spencer, if you stay ready. This guy stays ready.
And stole the week.
We got body cam footage.
Wait.
Yes. So that I just found when I Googled the guy's name. Shoffis was seen, or they were arresting the driver after drugs were found in the vehicle. Shoffis popped up wearing a full suit and tie to speak with them. You want to go over probable cause just so we can see what's going on here? Shoffis says in the body cam video. You're her attorney? An officer asked. I'm her representative. Yes, Shoffis replied. That's a first, the officer said. The affidavit states Shoffis asked to speak on the driver's behalf, asked about legal procedures and the existence of probable cause, and even attempted to negotiate a deal for the driver.
Jeez.
When police asked Shoffis for his name, he identified himself by the name of a real attorney who it was later found had represented him in a DUI case.
Oh my God.
So
this is great.
The real attorney says he swore he was not at the traffic stop himself, and he did not give Shoffis permission to represent him. That is so good. Yeah, that one wins the week, and we got a real strong contender for the month of June.
Just stole it here on Friday,
I'm
guys.
gonna go ahead. I think there's more detail in the WESH report, so we're gonna use that as our reference moving forward. But yes, the street lawyer. It's okay. I'm a lawyer. That's our winner. That's our guy. He wins today. He wins. What is wrong with you? From the 785, this one's an all-timer. From the 913, that is a winner and funny as hell. Agreed on all counts. Yes. We have got a champion. What is wrong with you? Coming up next, we've got other lawyers to talk about. Big deal lawyers. Attorneys general. They're sniping about Brendan Sorsby. We'll talk about it next. 443 on 580 Sports Talk. I'm still not over this story. Here's another detail from WESH.com. More than half an hour back and forth between police and Shawfus ended in the driver's arrest and her transport to jail, during which time she told police she knew the man as Derrick and described him as her attorney. And then Derrick turned around and gave a different name. Like, oh, yeah, that's Derrick. He is my lawyer. My name's not Derrick. We went over this.
Jeez Louise, man.
That's not my name while I'm your lawyer. Incredible stuff. Vance in the YouTube comments. I'm not a lawyer, but I play one randomly. Britt says John Grisham might have another book idea. Yeah. I don't know if John Grisham wrote one about a totally fake lawyer. That's basically just a plot of Suits, right? Like that's the whole. Did you watch that when people got really into that on Netflix? And that was the wave. Was watching.
So
Suits?
I watched Suits, the OG run on USA.
Oh, you watched it originally. You were an early adopter.
But then I stopped watching it because it just got annoying.
It definitely got repetitive.
It just
definitely. I think
this is if you're watching on 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, this is Suits.
Yeah, it felt like it did have kind of a moment where
then they tried to replicate it and do Suits LA or whatever.
Yeah, it didn't last very long.
That flopped after less than they canceled it before the season finale came out.
I enjoyed the time I spent with Harvey and Mike watching the show on Netflix, but about midway through season 5, it was starting to be a chore to watch it. So that's about when we tapped out. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. You can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Do you have a favorite John Grisham book or movie adaptation? Presumed Innocent with, what's his name, on Apple TV. Jake Gyllenhaal. That was really good when they did Presumed Innocent. That's Scott Turow. Never mind. That's not John Grisham. Oh, God.
What was the other one?
The one with McConaughey and Samuel L. Jackson. Oh my God! Is Sandra Bullock in that one too? A Time to Kill. Yeah, A Time to Kill. That's my favorite. That's my actual favorite.
I don't know.
Presumed Innocent was good, but it was also not great.
We've had this discussion on the show before. Unless it's maybe you weren't here last week when we were talking about this.
Maybe I wasn't.
Brendan and I.
Yeah.
Unless it's like very much iconic. Anything before I was born or before I was like really able to watch, big movies, I haven't seen.
I got you. Understand.
If it's like 2005 or newer, I've probably seen it. But anything,
fair enough.
Kind of gets lost in translation.
No, I got it. I understand. Anyhow, they reboot stuff all the time. So
there'll be something.
Yeah, you might be able to catch a reboot at some point. Anyway, let's catch up. Speaking of lawyers, on the latest and what's going on with the Brendan Sorsby Texas Tech situation. So yesterday, in case you missed it, we heard from the Attorney General of the state of Texas, Ken Paxton, intervening on Texas Tech's behalf in a notice addressed to both Brett Yormark and the chair of board of directors of the Big 12, who also happens to be the chancellor of the University of Kansas, Doug Girod. We are aware that the Big 12 is considering invoking bylaw 3.6 of the Big 12 bylaws to sanction Texas Tech for respecting the order and continuing its support of Mr. Sorsby as a student athlete. This letter serves to notify the Big 12 that any such action would be unlawful and would expose the conference to substantial liability. Any sanction against Texas Tech for acting consistent with the order would be a per se violation of federal and state antitrust laws. Beyond its antitrust exposure, the Big 12 would also face liability for breach of contract and tortious interference. Texas Tech is confident the Big 12 will choose to act within the confines of the law and respect both the judicial process and its own rules and bylaws, saying the total exposure for both the Big 12 and its members, joint and severally, will be substantially more than $200 million. So that was Ken Paxton yesterday, taking a little time out from his run for Senate in the state of Texas. I'll tell you what, if I were his opponent, what's the gentleman's name, the Democrat in that race? James Tallarico. We should know less about who's running for Senate in Texas, just as a general rule. We should know less about other state Senate races. Or maybe we should know more. Like, unless you're like a real political, like, junkie. Yeah, you should probably know less about these people. But anyhow, James Tallarico. If I were him, I'd be going to TCU fans, Baylor fans, Houston fans, and I'd be saying, hey, so what's this Ken Paxton guy doing trying to intervene against your best interest? Why is he so big on tech, huh? Who's in his pockets? Cody Campbell's in his pockets. Cody Campbell's in everybody's pockets. But yeah, I'd be asking TCU, Baylor, Houston fans, how you feel about the state's attorney general trying to intervene on behalf of a conference rival, and in doing so, threatening your conference.
Yeah.
I would make an issue of that if I were running against Ken Paxton. It's probably a good thing in the end that I am not. Also yesterday, Texas Tech posted a 21-minute video to social media.
Nearly 22.
You can round up. It sounds worse. The longer it gets, the worse it is. Basically continuing to double down on their stance that Brendan Sorsby should play, in part because he looked Kirby Hocutt in the eye and told him that he didn't do anything to jeopardize the integrity of sporting events. Because if there's one thing that we can do when it comes to a recovering addict, it's trust them. Like, you ever known an addict to lie? Ever known an addict to look in your eye and lie? Anyway, but no, he looked Kirby Hocutt in the eye, so everything's fine. And again, the only way we can possibly give Brendan Sorsby the resources and the support he needs as he begins a lifelong journey to battle his addiction. Like, you don't beat addiction and then it's done.
Yeah.
It's not a 35 days and you're cured forever. That's every day. It doesn't matter what the addiction is. Every day you fight that fight. And Texas Tech is saying that the only way that we can stand with him as he fights his fight is if he also gets to play quarterback for us. So that was yesterday. Today, the Attorney General of Oklahoma has weighed in. His name, we do not know his name because, to my knowledge, he is not running for nationwide office. His name is Gentner Drummond. Sure it is.
That sounds so not legit.
And he has a letter to Commissioner Yormark and Chairman Girard. My office is aware of a letter sent to the Big 12 Conference from the Texas Attorney General's office asserting that the Big 12 would violate federal and state antitrust laws by sanctioning Texas Tech. Oklahoma is home to a Big 12 member institution, Oklahoma State University, and my office has a direct interest in the integrity of conference competition. The claims asserted in the letter are meritless. The idea that the Big 12 may not sanction the actions of one of its members under an agreed-upon pre-existing contract is facially absurd. Facially absurd. I write further, Drummond continues, to recommend that the Big 12 take action against Texas Tech under Bylaw 3.6, which allows the conference to sanction member schools if a supermajority of disinterested directors determines that a member school has engaged in any action or course of conduct materially adverse to the best interest of the conference as a whole. Sadly, that fits Texas Tech to a T. Texas Tech has shirked responsibility by running with a bogus claim to a friendly court. Its leadership has prioritized winning over sport, over honor, and over integrity. If Texas Tech will not do the right thing, the Big 12 should. Texas Tech should be sanctioned. I also note that the injunction granted to Sorsby applies only to the NCAA. It does not impede the Big 12 from suspending Sorsby. I kind of think that's the direction, because we don't know yet, because the Big 12 had their board of directors meeting yesterday, and then they got the Paxton letter, and it probably spooked them a little bit. So They didn't do anything. The Big 12 just said, yeah, we're continuing to explore our options. I think where this ends, or where this ends up going, is that nothing materially happens to Texas Tech, but the league decides to make Sorsby ineligible for conference play. That feels like I don't know. And
easy.
Surely there will be a suit, but it kind of feels like that's the kind of thing you can stand on as a conference to say we are sanctioning the individual for a violation of rules as a conference. So that's the latest. That's the absolute latest of what's going on there between Texas Tech.
So I don't know if this is made public, but I saw this from multiple sources reporting it, or people, not necessarily sources. Allegedly, the judge goes to the same country club that Cody Campbell goes to.
Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
Would not shock me.
There's no actual reporting. I saw that hearsay. So could be right, could be wrong, but This whole thing is just, it's going like 0 to 100. It's like, well, if you do this, we're going to do this. And it's just legal back and forth. And I don't even know how you figure this out.
We got Change My Mind coming up to wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk. We do Change My Mind to wrap up the 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. And I monopolized it a little bit last week, Spencer. So I want to give you the floor. Make sure we get yours in this week.
Change my mind. This Sorsby situation will mess up the Big 12 going forward. And it will be used as the precedent, and people will start using this situation to try to rationalize their players betting. Like, instead of a press conference where people can ask questions, let's put out a 20-plus minute informational video with why we think our players should be eligible and why we think he should be around the team because we give him help that way.
I think the more fascinating thing here is how it will affect the relationship between the 15 other member schools in Texas Tech. Because Andy Staples made this point, though I disagree with where he took the argument, but Andy Staples over at On3, and I totally disagree where he took this argument. The Big 12 needed a football program to be a marquee football program, a nationally recognized football brand. Because when Texas and Oklahoma left, they didn't have one. They needed a program to step forward, to separate from the pack. Brett Yormark said as much himself. Texas Tech is doing that. Or at least they're trying to. But here's the thing that Texas Tech, I don't think, realizes. It's 1 year. It's 1 year. You were good. And you were much better than anybody else in the Big 12, yes. What did that get you? 0 points in the Orange Bowl. 0. Not a single point. 0. So as far as separating yourself from the league, you did it for a year. Congratulations. Arizona State made a much better accounting of itself as a Big 12 champion in the playoff than Texas Tech did last year. There's no doubt about that. So Texas Tech may be a little bit too big for its britches. And how does that affect the league's relationship with it? And why not turn Texas Tech into a pariah? What are you going to do about it? Join the SEC? They don't want you. You can join the Super League? They don't want you. You're in Lubbock. Get real about what you are, Texas Tech. You had one good football season. Cool. But get real about what you are. Coming up at the 5 o'clock hour, we got headlines. We'll talk some Royals baseball. We got the debut of the World Cup Roundup. Let's get it. Hour number 3, final hour of the day, final hour of the week on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you here on the program on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. Round the world on the MSC Radio app. I got to get in the habit of remembering you can now find us on our own app, the MSC Radio app. We remember the MSC Radio group these days, in case you missed that bit of news.
A week ago. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, a week ago.
It's been a week. This is our first full week. This was our first full week being locally owned in over a quarter of a century. So download the MSC Radio app, and you can listen to us on your phone or tablet. Of course, you can also watch the program on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. I'm Dan Lucero. That's Spencer Dupuis.
I believe, if I'm correct, from the app, you can go to our website and you can read the content we're posting on our website.
Yeah. You can do all kinds of things with that app. It's pretty slick. Check it out.
I think eventually there'll be a way to send us a message if you.
Oh, no kidding.
If you don't have, if you don't want to text in via our text line,
send it right through the app.
Yeah,
interesting.
We have to get it connected properly, but
so download the app. It's pretty slick, and we even ourselves, we're just now kind of exploring and figuring out what we're going to be able to do on there, what you will be able to do as far as interacting with the show, maybe on the app. So go download it today, the MSC Radio app, and just choose 580 WIBW. That's simple. You get to listen to us and most of our other great programming here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. We're still, embargoed, blacked out on Chiefs and Royals games like we've always been on our web stream because MLB and the NFL make money on that. And so, we don't want to, you don't want to get crossways with the National Football League. That's usually not a good idea.
I once got a phone call from them.
Oof.
As at my last job, I didn't realize I didn't turn something off.
Yeah,
we got to opening week of the NFL season, and
they told you you're going to turn that off.
Right? Yeah, they're like, make sure you turn this off, for when we call again, we're going to be sending you a fine.
It used to be, and I leaned on this in college, that a lot of stations were pretty lax about that.
Yeah,
pretty lax about their policies, and I know because I worked for one that was every now and again a little bit lazy about pushing the button on like day Rockies games. I won't name the station. It's not important. They don't air. They're not on any. They're not on the network anymore, and I don't work for them anymore. So I'm not looking out for their best interests anymore. But anyway, so in college, like if I wanted to listen to a Seahawks game, there used to be a website that was like, hey, here's all the affiliate stations for your favorite sports team, and here are links to their live streams. And who knows? Maybe you can catch the game on their live streams. They haven't pay for the NFL or for MLB at bat or whatever it was. I seem to remember it was the Portland station, Portland, Oregon, that the Portland's KNX, I think, something like that. No, not KNX. That's Los Angeles. I forget the name of the station, but they didn't white out their stream. So I listened to Seahawks games all the time in college. And it's airtight now. The NFL got their lawyers on the case and calling, even stations in little old Martinsburg, right?
Yeah. So then the next year when we were negotiating in a, air quotes, our Washington football contract, those go to the league and get approved by somebody, and then they get sent back. And the league remembered to write down, make sure you turn off your streaming.
Yep. Oh yeah. No, we Roy Baum, our legendary engineer here at 580 WIBW, he don't miss a trick.
Nope.
Like, no, we you're not gonna get us. So other than that, though, you want to hear us, you want to hear K-State. K-State's cool. Learfield's chill on that. If you're within the geo fence,
yeah.
Which if you're within the sound of our voice, you probably are. But yeah. 580 Sports Talk, high school games. Yeah.
Also, our sister stations.
Oh yeah, you can hear our sister stations, and we have a lot. We have a great big family
9 total now.
Yeah, we're like the Brady Bunch, baby. We used to have 3 sister stations, now we got 9. It's like the Brady Bunch up in here. So yeah, go check out the MSC Radio app today. It's a good app, and everything sounds awesome.
I will tell you what. We talked about this yesterday, or the last time we talked about it. way better than the other big apps that you try to stream us on.
Yes.
Because this one is our app, so we don't have, at the moment, it doesn't cut you off to play ads.
Yep, no pre-roll until we sell it, and then we make millions of dollars on it, and then we start doing 3 minutes pre-roll like TuneIn does. But no pre-roll. You hear the ads as intended is right into us. You can pick up the app, you can turn on the app, and then you're hearing us. You're hearing what you want to hear right off. The MSC Radio app, that was a great advertisement for it. I bet Justin, Wade, and Jake are happy with that.
Wade's here, so hopefully he's hearing us over the speakers, and he comes and hands us a 5 or something.
Yeah, grease the palms a little bit. Listen,
I'm kidding.
I do it for the love of the game, baby. I do it for the love of the game. We got our 580 Sports Talk headlines here in this 5 o'clock hour. Look ahead at a great sports weekend to come, and include Royals baseball, because we have Royals baseball coming your way tonight. 6:30 pregame. And a 7:10 first pitch tonight in Houston between the Royals and the Astros. We'll preview the weekend series. Take a look at the lineup. Royals have made a roster move today, by the way. Unfortunately, Seth Lugo is going to need time on the concussion IL, which understandable after he took that line drive from Brandon Nimmo squarely off the forehead on Wednesday night. Right-hander Eli Morgan, who's been on that Omaha to KC Express quite often in the first 2 months and change of this season, coming back to the 26-man roster to replace Lugo while he is on the 7-day concussion IL. But, we'll preview Royals baseball. And, again, we've got overtime conversation today coming up a little bit later on in the program between 6 and 6:30 to bridge the gap between the end of 580 Sports Talk and the start of Royals baseball. Again, we want to hear from you. 785-272-9429 is the number. 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. And we want to hear your answers to the question, what are you most excited sports-wise to watch this weekend? Because there is a buffet of sports. There is something for everyone. Are you a race fan? Are you a fight fan? Are you a golf fan? Canadian Open's a cool event. They get into it. Brooks Koepka was leading at one point. Like, got some names on the leaderboard. It's the week before the U.S. Open, so you got a lot of players playing it as a tune-up. But obviously there's baseball of the pro and college variety. There's the World Cup. There's the NBA Finals. There's Stanley Cup Final. Lots this weekend. What are you most excited about? I want to know. 785-272-9429, or get at us in the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk.
Looks like the weather's not going to be the best this weekend, so
hunker down. Stay inside.
Time to watch a lot of sports.
Get you a cold one, cold drink of whatever your persuasion, and watch some TV sports. It used to be it was for a long time back in the old days where the Bird app was the Bird app. My user avatar, instead of being a picture of my face, was a picture of Homer Simpson sitting on the couch and holding a pennant that said TV sports.
That's a good one.
It's one of those weekends. Anyway, let's get to our 580 Sports Talk headlines, shall we? Let's start with some local news, because this is a really cool feat for a standout high school soccer player right here in our own backyard. After leading Washburn Rural to the state championship in Class 6A last fall, Dylan Willingham has been named the Gatorade Kansas Player of the Year for boys soccer. He scored 37 goals for the Junior Blues in the fall. They went 19-1-1 and beat Shawnee Mission East for the 6A state championship, the fourth in school history and the first since 2012. The 37 goals Willingham scored set a new school record. It also gave him 67 career goals, which is also a Washburn Rural record. He was named Centennial League Player of the Year and an All-American by United Soccer Coaches. He'll continue his college career and his education. He'll play at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. Willingham is the second to Pekin and the second Junior Blue to win the Gatorade Boys Soccer Player of the Year for the state of Kansas. Austin Halsey won the award in 2015. So very cool honor for Dylan Willingham. Gatorade Boys Soccer Player of the Year in the state of Kansas. You know who else won that award one time? Former United States men's national team mainstay on defense, Matt Beasler. So he's in good company.
There you go.
Next headline.
Yes, the Big 12 has announced the 2026-2027, effectively 2027, because I believe that's when the conference slate's going to start. The men's basketball conference opponents matrix For Kansas State, now I'm clicking on this and the thing is not there. So it's literally that graphic's gone.
Yeah, the graphic cut off, didn't it? Where'd it go?
I don't know.
I opened it and it did the exact same thing. Oh, nope. Yeah.
It's like that. The second graphic just
they
got deleted.
They did. Yeah. They took the graphic down.
All right. Well, I'm going to go to KU's site first.
Yeah. I'll go to K-State. You go to KU. I'll go to K-State.
All right.
We love live radio, folks.
It was there.
No, it was there earlier today. It was fine. Everything was cool.
All right. So we already know the non-conference schedule for KU men's basketball, highlighted, by going back to the Players era, the Champions Classic in Chicago versus Kentucky. They're going to have a home game with Villanova. They're going to see Mizzou at T-Mobile Center. You're going to be on the road to finish a home and home with UConn, and at the CBS Sports Classic in New York City at Madison Square Garden against Ohio State. So the Big 12 Matrix has come out. Home games this year, they're just home games. KU will host Arizona State, Colorado, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, UCF, and West Virginia at Allen Fieldhouse. They will just go on the road at Arizona, BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, TCU, and Utah. And the home games this year will be obviously the Sunflower State Showdown with K-State, Iowa State, and Baylor. I like the Iowa State one, obviously.
I like that they get Iowa State home and home.
But I feel like maybe we could have done. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Baylor home and home.
Well, they got Houston. It was Houston and Arizona home and home last year.
That's
which
true.
Was which was tough.
Yeah.
What is this? 6, 12, 18 games. They did not end up re-expanding to 20 games. I know there was some talk about doing that, but they did not end up doing that. For Kansas State, for Kansas State, they will host Arizona, Colorado, Houston, Oklahoma State, TCU, and Texas Tech. They will travel to West Virginia, Utah, Iowa State, UCF, BYU, and Baylor, which means no, Jerome Tang will not be back at Bramlage Coliseum this season. That's probably for the best.
Yeah.
The home and away teams for K-State will be Kansas, of course, Cincinnati, and Arizona State. Why not Iowa State, you ask? Because the Big 12 can be dumb about those things. I don't like the fact that they don't have a home and home with Iowa State, or Oklahoma State. Why they got 2 home and homes with non-legacy Big 12 programs, I don't really understand, but so it goes. Next headline for me, the NFL wrapping up some of its investigations per their personal conduct policy, and they have decided that there will be no league discipline for Kansas City Chiefs defensive backs coach Dave Merritt. They've concluded their investigation into the misdemeanor domestic battery charge that was made against Merritt and dismissed last month by the District Court of Johnson County. He had been charged in April after he had been accused of causing bodily harm to his daughter and had pled not guilty. The league found insufficient evidence of a violation of the personal conduct policy, and there will be no discipline from the league. Also not being disciplined by the league, Stephon Diggs. The NFL's closed their review of Diggs, determining, again, there was insufficient evidence of a personal conduct policy violation. Diggs was found not guilty in May of assaulting his private chef in a pay dispute. He had pled not guilty in February to a felony strangulation charge and a misdemeanor assault and battery charge, was found not guilty over the course of a 2-day trial. That probably greases the skids for Stephon Diggs to find his next team. I'm sure there were some holdouts maybe wondering, all right, like if we're paying for Stephon Diggs, how much Stephon Diggs are we getting? Are we getting 17 eligible games or not? Well, it looks like the answer to that question is yes. For now, Stephon Diggs is one of those guys you really never know. Bit of a wild card. But
what will he do tomorrow?
Well, yeah. What kind of phone call are you going to get at 3 a.m.? But he is now free. Well, he's been free, but you now would consider him to be much more likely to find his new team sooner rather than later. One player who is in even hotter water in contrast, Broncos linebacker Jonathan Cooper, who will face 2 additional charges, including a felony charge of second-degree assault from his arrest last week in Parker, Colorado. He originally faced misdemeanor domestic violence charges and pled not guilty on Monday, but Douglas County District records show Cooper will now also face a felony charge of second-degree assault by strangulation and an additional misdemeanor charge of third-degree assault. Those charges announced in court on Wednesday. He'll have a motions hearing July 6th. Apparently, Cooper violated his protection order that was filed against him earlier in the week and was arrested on Thursday night. So that is part of the reason that he is facing additional charges. According to the arrest affidavit, Cooper allegedly sent 20 messages and made 2 unanswered phone calls to his girlfriend Thursday before going to her apartment and knocking on her door before leaving when she called 911. When police went to Cooper's home, officer says he told them he had not been served with a protection order. So certainly some disappointment for the Broncos in the bad behavior of one of their standouts on their defense. And you would think that the NFL would be investigating per their personal conduct policy.
I've got a couple quick hitters.
Do it.
K-State Baseball's D. Kennedy has earned a third-team All-America honor following his standout season. He was named the third-team All-America by ABCA/Rawlings All-Americas today. That was prior to the start of the College World Series. The honor marks K-State's 42nd postseason All-American and 11th in the Pete Hughes era. Expect him to be drafted in the first couple rounds of the MLB draft. Excuse me, wrong.
Maybe
sport.
he can hoop too. I don't know.
That's coming up here in the next few months. Also, KU obviously getting more recognition for their players. Tyson LeBlanc, Augusto Munguerita, and I always say it wrong. I think Garita, I think is how you say it.
Munguerita, I think.
Yeah. It got me a few times. And Bodie Ray all
now I'm confused.
More honors from various national outlets. LeBlanc was named first-team All-American by Perfect Game, second-team All-American by the NWBCA, and third-team All-America by Baseball America and ABCA/Rawlings. That ABCA/Rawlings, again, that comes today before the College World Series.
Do you have audio?
What?
Do I have audio?
You can.
Can I have audio?
Yes.
Thank you.
Augusto Munguerita.
There you go.
Yes. Him
Straight from the source.
and Ray were voted the ABCA Rawlings Central All-Region.
I can't roll my R's. It's one of my great disappointments. I've never learned how to roll my R's.
Yeah, me neither. One final note here about LeBlanc. He's the 6th first-team All-American in KU baseball history and the first in 20 years. Now I'm going to mess this up. Don Cizik in 2006, CZYZ. I apologize. It's
that. Yeah. That. What year was that?
06.
Yeah, it's before my time. I've seen that last name pronounced as Chiz.
Yeah, I could see that. Chiz.
See, this is why we need Brendan. I think it's Polish. So
Yeah.
Brendan would know. But he's out today. So anyhow.
On daddy duty.
Yes, daddy duty for Brendan today. All right, let's do whatever we want to do these days. Let's do the playoff roundup before the World Cup roundup today. Let's go ahead and start with the playoff roundup.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
We did not get to talk about Game 4 of the NBA Finals, which is too bad because, wow, holy Moses. My favorite thing about Game 4 of the NBA Finals, an all-time NBA Finals game. The New York Knicks coming back from a 29-point deficit to defeat the San Antonio Spurs on OG Anunoby's tip-in with 1.2 seconds to play, 107-106 to take a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals. My favorite thing about the game was after the game so you've got like Celebrity Row, obviously, at Madison Square Garden. And there are a lot of people who are there, like, to be there to get on TV, right? Like, you're there because it's cool, hang out. You're there because it's the place to be. You know who's not there because it's the place to be? You know who's there because she cares a hell of a lot about the New York Knicks? Mariska Hargitay.
Dun dun.
Better known as Captain Olivia Benson. 27 seasons of SVU. Is it 27 seasons? How many seasons? I got to Google that.
I believe season 28. No, there's
season 27.
Season 28 will premiere in the fall.
And I will be there no matter what. Anyway, Mariska Hargitay is so about that Knicks life. She is doing a live one-woman show on Broadway right now.
Yeah.
She finished a show and sprinted to the Garden to get there in time for tip-off. And she was sitting with Taylor Swift, who,
has had a busy few days of her own.
she has. And Taylor Swift, probably not the biggest Knicks fan in the world, but you know who she is?
She's a Knicks fan.
But she's Mariska Hargitay's friend. And you know what? Sometimes you stand by your homie and you support their team. If you don't really have a team, or if your team is out, sometimes you wear matching T-shirts with your homie and you sit in the front row. And so that's what they did. They did 2 of the 3 Hames sisters and Taylor Swift.
The third one was somewhere else in the building.
No, Mariska Hargitay is the honorary third Hames sister. It's canon now. Anyway, after that game, right, pandemonium at Madison Square Garden, and Mariska Hargitay is on the court, like looking for people to hug. She was acting like Jim Valvano at the end of the 1983 National Championship game, just looking, and like the Knicks players all know her, right? Because she's at all the games, like she's a fixture. So they were hugging her, and like she's out there like she's on the team. It was amazing. Like if you could, you would, right?
Yeah.
If you were that kind of fan and you had that kind of access, like. I know there are a lot of people who are just there because they're big stars, and that's where you are going to be seen as in the front row of these Knicks NBA Finals game. But like,
I think
Mariska is about it.
I think there's 3 people that are about it. Her, Ben Stiller, and Spike Lee.
No, you forgot the 4th. You forgot Timothy Chalamet.
And Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet has like loyal to the soil, man. He's a big time Knicks fan. But anyhow, Game 4 was bonkers. Game 5 is Saturday in San Antonio. Chance for the Knicks to wrap up their first championship since 1973. I kind of think they're going to do it. The Spurs looked totally out on their feet by the end of Game 4. I don't know how mentally, emotionally you recover from that game. And then the other part of it is they've led big in every single game in the series, and they can't close. Part of the reason they can't close is that Wemby doesn't have the legs.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the legs to go. I think that their road through the playoffs, going 6 with a physical Minnesota team, going 7 with Oklahoma City, I just think it's taken a lot out of a really young team making their first playoff run. And that's why you got to like do this and lose and learn before you win. That's the history of the league, right? Like I erroneously said a couple of shows ago that Wemby would be the first in this modern era to win at the first time of asking. That was not true. I forgot Magic. If you want to call 1979 the modern era, or 1980 the modern era, Magic's first finals, he famously started at center in place of the injured Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Game 6, and like had 42 points. And the Lakers won the NBA championship that year. So it's like Magic, and that's it. And maybe Wemby, but they're going to have to come back from 3-1 down, and Wemby's going to have something in the tank in the fourth quarter because it just doesn't look like he's got the juice. And understandable. Like the Knicks are a little bit older and a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger and a little bit more accustomed to this. And they're 1 win away from a party that New York has not seen in a very long time. Meanwhile, on Frozen Pond last night, the Carolina Hurricanes moved 1 win closer to the Stanley Cup. They're now 1 win away. Andrei Svechnikov's 2 goals were the difference in a 4-2 win over Vegas last night in Raleigh. Game 6 is Sunday in Vegas, and the Canes can clinch the cup, which would be their second all-time and their first in 20 years. The difference in this series to this point is that Carolina was willing to change goalies, and Vegas has not been willing to change goalies. It looks like the Golden Knights are going to go down on the Carter Hart ship, and Carolina turned to Brandon Bussey after Frederick Anderson didn't play well first 4 games of the series, and Bussey's been really good. So there you have it. That's the difference. That's the difference in that series. All right. We did our playoff roundup. We're going to go ahead now and debut, and I'm going to need audio.
I was wondering.
Yes, we are going to go ahead and debut our first one of these. You'll hear it throughout the next month and change as the world's game congregates in North America, Canada, Mexico, and the United States. It is time for the World Cup Roundup.
Open wide for some soccer!
Nothing I make could be funnier than that. That is, of course, the open to the Simpsons episode where they go to the soccer match and everybody gets bored and they riot.
At least you didn't use your own voice doing the Olympic round
No,
singing.
like there's no like soccer song. I guess I could have like done
Ole,
round up,
you
round
could've
up,
done-
round up, round up. But
Ole,
yeah,
ole, ole, ole.
round up.
Yeah.
Maybe I will. Maybe I'll extend it. But nothing to me is funnier than fake Hank Williams Jr. going open wide for some soccer.
I didn't even honestly put that together. I get it now, but
Yeah.
I didn't when you first played it.
Now we'll find out which country has global supremacy, Mexico or Portugal. You'll see all your favorite stars, Arriaga, Arriaga 2, Barriaga, and Pisosa. It's one of my favorite Simpsons opens, cold opens in show history. Anyways, playoff now, World Cup roundup on the program. The World Cup is underway. We are 3 matches deep. Yesterday, Mexico opened the tournament with a 2-0 home victory over South Africa, a match only really notable for the fact that it featured 3 red cards. They were playing 10-on-9 by the end of the match. South Africa had 2 players disqualified. South Korea rallied in the second half for a 2-1 win over Czechia in Guadalajara last night. A lot of fans attended that game dressed as empty seats, which I think is going to be a problem FIFA has throughout this tournament. FIFA's response to all those empty seats was, actually, there were a lot of people on the concourse watching the game. Sure, go with that. See how that goes. Anyway, earlier today, Canada and Bosnia and Herzegovina drew 1-1 as the Canadian portion of the tournament kicked off in Toronto. Tonight, it's Team USA taking center stage, the USMNT hosting Paraguay in Los Angeles at Los Angeles Stadium, SoFi Stadium.
Inglewood Stadium.
Inglewood. Now, I think they are actually calling it Los Angeles Stadium. They are going with Los Angeles. Disrespectful to Inglewood? I agree. I mean, come on. It got mentioned in, what's that one? Oh, my God. The next episode. If it's well known enough to be mentioned in the next episode by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, then they can go ahead and call it Inglewood Stadium. Anyhow, that's tonight. U.S. men's national team opens their World Cup against Paraguay. The group that the United States are in features Paraguay, obviously, but also features Australia and Turkey. The United States should probably win the group. I mean, if they're any kind of good, and again, this is the best, this is the most talented U.S. team that there has ever been. Like, there's never been a Team USA team with this many guys who play a bunch for their international club teams. Like, back in the day, we were talking about this with Paul Carr when we had him on a couple of days ago. Like, back in the day, Team USA's best guys were, he played a little bit for, bottom of the table Premier League team. Or Landon Donovan, like, he's all right in Europe, but he's only really good in the MLS. And now the team's just full of guys who are among the best players on their Premier League or Ligue 1 or Bundesliga or Serie A teams. Or La Liga teams. Like, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. So this team is talented. They don't really have a lot of excuses. And should take care of business against Paraguay tonight. Also, you add in the fact that the host country usually overperforms. Like 1994 American team, not real good. But they made it out of the group stage, in part because of Andres Escobar's own goal in the Colombia game. And if you don't know what happened to Andres Escobar, there's a documentary about that. Anyhow, other games, matches this weekend. I want to go ahead and pull up the schedule for the rest of the weekend. There will be 4 games tomorrow and Sunday. So we've got 4-game action starting tomorrow and through the rest of the group stage. Tomorrow, you've got Qatar and Switzerland, Brazil and Morocco, Haiti and Scotland. That'll be the coolest crowd spectacle by far, because the Scots are going to be drunk and the Haitians are going to throw a party because they haven't been in the World Cup, maybe ever. And then Australia and Turkey is the late match tomorrow. Then on Sunday, you have Germany against Curacao, which is a little bit of the Godzilla versus Bambi of this tournament. Curaçao's never been, and Germany is Germany. Netherlands, Japan might be a banger. That's on Sunday. Ivory Coast, Ecuador could be fun. And then Sweden, Tunisia will be the late game on Sunday.
Not any of those games related, but did you see how KU welcomed Algeria to Rock Chalk Park.
I did, and I thought it was so awesome.
Yeah.
Man, like Lawrence is knocking it out of the park with their welcome of Algeria. The pep band learned the Algerian national anthem. You should look up the English translation of the lyrics for the Algerian national anthem.
Apparently
they go hard.
Apparently,
man.
people are hating on the fact that they set up Algeria's hotels.
Nobody's hating on it. Like, Algeria made a choice. They were supposed to stay at the Oriad. They're not staying at the Oriad because you can't smoke there and there's not a pool. So they're staying at the DoubleTree,
which I didn't realize was the one I passed when I went to KU a couple weeks in a row.
You can now forever drive past that and say a World Cup team stayed there.
I saw the fencing they had out, and I didn't even think anything of it. I thought maybe they were just having some event there. Nope.
No.
The Algerian national team is staying there.
The beauty of the World Cup, often expressed on the field, but is also being expressed, and you're seeing it, you see it across social media, is how welcoming some of these communities have been to the teams that are making it their base camp, their training camp. And the relationship between Lawrence and Algeria is a really, really cool one to watch. So that's your World Cup roundup.
Open wide for some soccer!
Makes me laugh every time. When we come back, what a weekend of sports we have ahead. We'll talk about it next. A lot of great sports coming up this weekend. Back on 580 Sports Talk, Dan and Spencer with you, 540 on this Friday afternoon. We've mentioned a lot of them throughout today. Did not mention in the headlines, but do want to bring up that today is the start of the College World Series. The Big 12 is 1-0. Late rally by West Virginia put them over the top of Troy earlier this afternoon, 7-5. Mountaineers broke a tie with a pair of runs in the bottom of the eighth to earn the victory.
Also, for those keeping up, I don't know if it was with you or Brendan, but we talked about the Jello Shot challenge.
Yes.
KU is knocking it out, or excuse me, KU. West Virginia is knocking it out of the park despite drama with Pat McAfee.
Oh, great.
He tried to go buy some, and the guy said, your checks are going to bounce.
You know, you don't have to make everything all about yourself all the time. Although, if a network were going to pay me $60 million a year, I might think that everything ought to be about me all the time. You don't have to make everything about you, man. I know he's a proud alum, but come on, man.
But West Virginia's knocking it out of the park. As of 5:10 p.m., they had 10,249 shots consumed or bought.
It's going to be them and Ole Miss.
Ole
I have
Miss
a feeling.
has 4,640.
Well, give them a chance to respond tonight. Ole Miss plays the night game. They will start in about 19 minutes. Ole Miss against North Carolina. Tomorrow's games, Oklahoma, Alabama at 2 and Texas, Georgia at 7. Once again, the quirk of the bracket means that not only do you have like the two teams you would consider Cinderellas, like West Virginia, just not Cinderella, they're a national seed, but also like the history of their program. They were, a decade ago, they didn't have like a clubhouse, and now they're in the College World Series playing the actual Cinderella in Troy.
Yeah.
And then the two best teams in the tournament playing each other also in the first round. Texas and Georgia, to me, are the two best teams. I think one of those teams is going to win. I know I'm going out on a limb and picking two teams out of an 8-team tournament saying, yeah, I think it's going to be one of those. But I know, no guts on me whatsoever. But no, I do think those are the two best teams left. Yeah. I really do. So you got that. You've got, obviously, the World Cup. You've got the continuation of the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Final. You've got good old regular season Major League Baseball. UFC 250, if that's your get down. I know we got some fight fans who listen to the program. Not here to yuck anybody's yum, but the fight game, and not for me. But that's obviously a pretty unique spectacle, being on the White House lawn on Saturday night. I'm sure.
Isn't it Sunday night?
I'm pretty sure it was Saturday. Isn't it Saturday?
I thought it was the 14th because it's Flag Day. I could be totally wrong.
I can't find a date for this stupid thing. Why am I not seeing it? I'm looking at a whole preview of it over at ESPN.com, and they are not.
Yeah, Sunday.
Is it Sunday? Here it is.
Pre-fight press conference today. They have a fan fest tomorrow.
Got it.
Zach Brown Band, and then celebrating somebody's birthday.
So yeah, that you can tell the attention I pay to the fight. It's just not my thing, but if it's your thing, I'm not here to yuck your yum. So obviously that's a pretty unique event that's going on this weekend as well.
NASCAR racing at Pocono.
Denny Hamlin going for 3 wins in a row. Canadian Open, RBC Canadian Open on the PGA Tour. Lots of good sports coming up. We asked the question, what are you most excited to see? Jeffrey in the YouTube chat says, number 1, Royals games. Number 2, World Cup, Team USA. Number 3, NASCAR. No basketball, no hockey, yes, beer. Well, shout out to you, Jeffrey. Sounds like your priorities are firmly in order. Liam, our guy Liam in the YouTube chat says he's fired up for the World Cup. He's got the fever. Mark B says not the basketball, the hockey, or the World Cup. Probably the NASCAR, and though I hate to admit it, the Royals. Hey.
Shout out to our guy Liam. He's covering the World Cup.
He is.
For USA Today Sports.
He is indeed. So let's go ahead and it's question of the day. We may as well ask it. What's the can't miss sporting event this weekend for you?
Honestly,
I mean, no wrong answer.
I believe ESPN Plus is broadcasting a Nationals game with their little, game a day.
Sure.
And look, besides the other day when they blew an 8-run lead, anytime I get to watch my favorite team in a season in which they're doing pretty well, that's what I'm excited for.
There you go.
Stanley Cup is Stanley Cup. I don't really. Carolina, I feel like, is going to win. And that's Sunday night. It just feels weird. These layoffs, extra.
The travel, the layoffs.
To me, I feel like, I guess you got to give people a night off, right? But
especially after Game 4, maybe an extra night off is good for the final.
I would rather have the games Friday night and Saturday night than Sunday night. I'd rather take Sunday night off.
Yeah, and I understand that. It'd be cool to see the chance to have both of those trophies hoisted
on this weekend. Yeah.
We are seeing, by the way, I was trying to think on this. I don't think there's been a better combination NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Final, just in terms of the caliber of game.
Yeah.
The competitiveness of game night in and night out. I don't think we've seen this since 1994. We had
it's been a while. Sure.
And that is the last time, and maybe the only time. I don't know if it's the only time, but it's one of very few times that both the finals in the NBA and the NHL went 7. And of course, that felt gargantuan because it was 2 New York teams. New York Rangers winning their first Stanley Cup in 54 years, beating the Canucks in 7, and then the Knicks in the NBA Finals losing to the Rockets in 7 games. So that's the last time. And all those games, like you go back and you look, like every one of those NBA games, they were low scoring, but they were competitive. And every one of those hockey games was awesome, like hotly competitive stuff. And so, like 2014 was a pretty good. It might end up being that 2014 becomes a comparison where you had 2014, you had the 7-game NBA Finals, Heat Spurs. Spurs won the title, and maybe that one only went 6. But and then you had the 5-game Stanley Cup final between the Kings and the Rangers, but 3 of those games went overtime. So it was a great series, even though it was short. Might end up in the same spot with this year's NBA Finals. Great series, might end up being a short one. Texan 785 says the NBA Finals aren't going 7. Agreed. I think it ends on Saturday. So that's what I'm most excited to watch, because I think that I think the Spurs will go out on their shields, but I think the Knicks will beat them, and I think that the scenes out of New York City are going to be pretty incredible. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Quick Royals preview for the weekend coming up next on 580 Sports Talk. Royals baseball coming up shortly. 11 minutes. Well, no, I guess not. It's 6:30 pregame today. Yeah, I get.
It's been a long week.
Be some overtime. I'm going to have to hustle to put that together. Our overtime conversation of the day is Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider. We'll re-rack that before 6:30 pregame coverage, 7:10 first pitch. Vance asking entirely fairly after that faux pas, what does Dan actually have in his water bottle? It's just water, Vance, I promise. Some days I wish we were a little stronger. Some days I talk like it must be a little stronger, but no. No, too much professionalism, which again you can debate to put anything in there but cool blue water. Royals baseball is tonight at some point. 6:30 pregame, 7:10 first pitch. Luinder Avila on the mound for the Royals. He's put together back-to-back solid outings, 5 innings of 1-run ball, each of his last 2 times out on the road as he prepares to make his 4th start of the season. Tatsuya Imai, the highly touted Japanese import who's had a difficult start to life in the major leagues, will make the start for Houston. He's got an ERA of 5.24. He's walking about 6 guys per 9, though he has been better since he missed a month and had a bit of a reset. His last 5 starts have been better than his first handful were. His first 2 were. So The Royals play the Astros this weekend. The other pitching matchups are Noah Cameron and Mike Burrows. Tomorrow, Burrows, I think, leads the American League in home runs allowed. And then Stephen Kolek on Sunday going up against Spencer Arrighetti, who's been really good for Houston. These are not your older brothers Astros. They kind of stink now, which I know that's long overdue comeuppance, some of you feel like, from the trash can scandals of the late 2010s. So, Spencer, you're like, hey, we beat those guys.
I always love that. Like,
you got Dodger fans. You got to overturn the 2017 World Series. It wasn't fair. And Nationals fans like, well, you could have simply beaten them.
Yeah.
You could have just beaten them on the field. Did you try that? What? Like it's hard? Anyway, these are not those Houston Astros, even though some of the faces are familiar. Geez, Jeremy Pena was a World Series MVP 4 years ago, and still a good player for them. And Yordan Alvarez is maybe the most terrifying hitter in baseball with a league-leading 22 home runs and a major league-leading 1.066 OPS. But outside of that, the Astros are just a bunch of guys. Yeah. And a bullpen that's not real good and a starting pitching staff that's not real good. And, yeah, it's not a real good baseball team. And opportunity exists for the Royals, who are themselves not a real good baseball team, to try and get some momentum back and win a series and try and wrap up this homestand at a 500 mark. But I fear that the momentum they brought home with them after finishing 5-2 in their last 7 games on that road trip with those series wins in Cincinnati and Minnesota probably got away from them when they lost that extra inning game on Wednesday night. That'll be, I think, tough for them to get back just because it kind of how this team is proven to be wired this year. But love to be proven wrong. Again, Luinder Avila will get the ball. He'll be on a less of a pitch restriction, so maybe we'll see Luinder work a little bit deeper into a ball game, like what we've seen the last 2 times out from him.
Very consistent. Pretty good.
Yeah, last 2 starts been better and a little bit more efficient, and that's the big thing for him is efficiency because he can get guys out, but boy, he gets into a lot of deep counts. Got to put some guys away a little bit earlier in counts so he can go deeper into games and take some weight off of a stressed bullpen. The 7 innings that Michael Wacha worked yesterday will help. Also, a fresh arm, which the Royals have today after putting Seth Lugo on the 7-day concussion injured list after he was domed by that line drive off the bat of Brandon Nimmo on Wednesday night. Eli Morgan's back up from AAA Omaha to give the Royals an extra arm just in case. Again, 6:30 pregame, 7:10 first pitch. We're back after this with the final word on 580 Sports Talk. Time for a final word today on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer, what you got?
Yeah. Chiefs get a break here. They're done with mandatory mini camp, and the next thing, St. Joe's, I believe, like 6-ish weeks away, 7 weeks
Something
away,
like that.
depending on when there hasn't been no official report date out there as of yet. But yeah, just Royals, can you at least be like interesting until then, please? Like, we'll take you to be interesting till then. But it was great hearing Chris Jones this week talk about being the unk of the group and like fully embracing, like, I'm the only vet here now. Like, everybody else kind of left, and even Ashton Gelati talked about it in his media availability. Like, there's a lot younger guys now, and like, I feel more comfortable talking to George about things, which I guess he didn't last year because George was going through it with his hand and stuff. So that was my final word.
Final word for me today. It is a buffet of sports this weekend. Truly something for everyone to enjoy, and great spectacles of sports too. Not just a bunch of great games, but opportunities, whether it's the College World Series and the festival that becomes celebrating the game in Omaha every year, or whether it is the World Cup as it being held in a country where no team truly has a road game, because we are the American melting pot after all. And there are so many people with experiences all over the world that allow them to see their home team or the team of their heritage, as it were, play. That's a great environment. Or the chance to see the Knicks celebrate an NBA championship for the first time since 1973. One way or another, you're going to see the power and the beauty of sports bringing people together. And really, that's what this thing is all about. Overtime's next, then Royals baseball for Spencer. I'm Dan. Good night.